You know that feeling when you're working your tail off, but it feels like you're just not getting ahead financially? Well, that's the exact problem Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad dives into. And look, this isn't about some get rich quick scheme. It's about a total fundamental shift in how you think about money. All right, let's get into the core lessons from this book that has, no joke, changed millions of lives. This quote right here, this is the heart of the entire book. See, most of us are taught to trade our time for money. Simple as that. But the rich, they understand that real wealth happens when your money starts working for you, even when you're sleeping. Just getting your head around this one idea is the first crucial step to getting off that financial hamster wheel. So, to really unpack that big idea, we're going to break it down into 6 powerful lessons. We'll start with the 2 competing mindsets that pretty much define our financial lives. Then we'll get into the one simple rule for building wealth and totally redefine what it means to mind your own business. After that, we'll see how the rich play a different game with taxes, rethink the whole purpose of a job, and finally bring it all home to show how the power to change your financial future is, believe it or not, completely in your hands. Okay, so the whole premise of the book is built on the author's own experience growing up with 2 very different father figures. You had his biological father, who he calls the poor dad, and then there was his best friend's father, the rich dad. Now, both of these guys were successful in their careers, but when it came to money, their philosophies were from different planets. And here is the fundamental conflict. The poor dad mindset, well, that's the path most of us are taught, right? It's that conveyor belt, go to school, get good grades, get a safe job. It's a path built entirely on finding security. But the rich dad mindset just throws that whole script in the trash. It's not about finding a safe harbor. It's about learning how to sail the financial seas and building your own fleet of assets that do the work for you. So, how do you actually start thinking like Rich Dad? Well, it all starts with one simple, non-negotiable rule. This right here is the absolute bedrock of his entire philosophy. This is it. This is the master key. Seriously, forget all the complex spreadsheets and stock market predictions for just a second. The entire game, according to this book, comes down to this. Know the difference between things that pay you and things that cost you, and then spend your life acquiring the things that pay you. It's so simple, it's almost deceptive, and that's probably why so many people get it wrong. So how does the book define an asset? It's beautifully simple. Forget those complicated accounting terms. An asset is just anything that generates income and puts money into your pocket. Think of a rental property, stocks that pay dividends, or maybe a business that runs without you having to be there every day. It's cash flow coming to you. And on the flip side, you've got liabilities. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. This is your car payment, your credit card debt, and here's the controversial one, the mortgage on the house you actually live in. The money is constantly flowing away from you to cover all these things. This chart shows the 2 paths in motion. On the left, that's the rat race. Your paycheck comes in and boom, it immediately flows right back out to pay for the mortgage, the car, the credit cards. It's a never-ending cycle of working just to pay the bills. But look at the right, that's the path to freedom. The rich use their income to buy assets first. Those assets then create a whole new stream of income, which then funds buying even more assets. It's not a loop, it's an upward spiral. And this brings us to the book's most famous and honestly challenging idea. We are all taught to believe our house is our biggest asset. But if we use Rich Dad's super simple definitions, is it? The house you live in costs you money every single month. Mortgage, taxes, insurance, repairs. It takes money out of your pocket. So, according to this logic, it's a liability, not an asset. Now, a rental property that pays you every month, that's an asset. Big difference. This leads perfectly into the 3rd lesson, which is all about focus. It's a really simple phrase, but it has a huge meaning for your finances. Mind your own business. This story about the founder of McDonald's is a perfect way to understand this. People thought Ray Kroc was in the hamburger profession, but he knew his real business was real estate. The franchise was just the engine that helped him buy up all the valuable land underneath the stores. That's the key idea. Don't ever confuse your job with your business. So what does this actually mean for you? It means your profession, what you do from 9 to 5, that's not your business. Your profession pays the bills, sure, but your business, that's what you do with your time and money after hours. It's the process of turning your paycheck into real assets that will, one day, pay you more than your job ever could. And this mindset completely flips the script on how you spend your money. Most people get a raise, and the first thing they do is buy a luxury, a new car, a vacation, and they usually do it on credit. The rich do the exact opposite. They build up their asset column first, then they let the income from their assets pay for the luxuries. That fancy car isn't bought with a salary. It's bought with the cash flow from a portfolio of rental properties. All right, now we get into what Kiyosaki calls your financial IQ. Because it's not just about making money, it's about knowing how to keep it. And that means understanding the systems that govern money. We're talking taxes and corporations and how the rich, legally, play by a different set of rules. This is a pretty provocative way to look at it, right? The popular idea is always tax the rich. But Rich Dad's view was that this whole narrative ends up hurting the very people it's supposed to help, all because the rich just don't play the same game. They understand how money really works. As the book explains it, income taxes were originally sold to the public, both in England and the US, as a way to punish the wealthy. But, surprise, surprise, once the government got a taste for that revenue, its appetite just grew and grew. And eventually, the tax burden trickled down to the middle class and the poor, the very same people who voted for it in the first place. So, how do the rich outsmart the system? The book points to the corporation. Now, a corporation isn't a building, it's just a legal structure, a file in a government office. By setting one up, the rich get to play a different game. They can earn, spend on business expenses, and then pay taxes on whatever's left. An employee, on the other hand, earns, gets taxed heavily right away, and then has to try and live on what's left. It's a massive structural advantage. Of course, this is a simplified view, and you definitely need professional advice to do this right, but the core idea is a total game changer. So, if building assets and understanding taxes is the real goal, where does your job fit into all this? Well, that brings us to Lesson 5, which totally reframes the purpose of your career. It's not about what you earn, it's about what you learn. See, the poor dad mindset sees a job as the destination. It's all about security and a steady paycheck. But the rich dad mindset sees a job as a training ground. The goal, especially early in your career, isn't the salary, it's the skills you pick up. A sales job might pay less than some office job, but it teaches you the single most valuable skill in business, how to sell. And that skill will help you build your asset column for the rest of your life. And the reason for this is that different skills lead to different kinds of income. Most people spend their lives working for ordinary earned income from a job. That's the highest tax form of income there is. The rich, meanwhile, focus on building portfolio income from things like stocks and passive income from things like real estate. These are taxed at much lower rates, and they are the key to having your money finally work for you. So after all these lessons, what's the big final takeaway? Well, it all comes down to the power of choice. The book argues that your financial destiny isn't determined by your background or even your salary. It's determined by the choices you make day in and day out. According to Kiyosaki, every single one of us starts with these two incredible assets, your mind and your time. You can choose to invest your time in learning how money actually works. You can choose to use your mind to spot opportunities and solve financial problems. These are the real tools that build wealth, and they are available to every single one of us. And that's really what it all boils down to. Every single time a dollar comes into your hand, you hold the power. You can spend it, which makes someone else rich. You can use it to buy a liability, locking yourself deeper into the middle class. Or you can use it to buy an asset and put yourself on the path to financial freedom. The choice, ultimately, is yours. So what will you choose?